Casey got a big hand from the crowd. Pitches outside for a ball. Because most of them had read in the newspapers about Casey's show after the game yesterday, in the midst of a rainstorm and an electrical storm, and they stood there under an umbrella and did the show. Pitches outside for a ball. It's 2-2 now. And then when the show was over and Casey started back to the dugout in a downpour, there was a youngster soaked there in the box seat area asking for an autograph. So Casey stopped and autographed the scorecard for the youngster in the midst of the downpour. 2-2 pitch. Swung on, and it's foul ball right down in the dirt in the batter's box, and the count holds it 2-2.
Welcome to the BBA Today, your podcast that covers events around the Brewster Baseball Association every day with your host, Yellow Springs 9 General Manager, Ron Collins. And now, let's get on with the show.
All right. It is a UMEBA Friday here at BBA Today. And that's right, a complete edition focused on the UMEBA. And my co-host today to do that is Dillon Lowery, GM of the Manama Pearls. Is it Manama or Manama? I don't know. I guess it's
I
Manama.
always say Manama.
There you go. Well, when I first heard it, I thought Manama, and that was the big Sesame Street thing, right? And then Cake made it, and all sorts of stuff like that. So whenever I hear it, I think of Manama. But anyway, we are going to go through the UMEBA together. Thanks for your time here today, Dillon.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Fantastic. Well, this is the 6th season of the UMEBA. It's kind of hard to believe that we're already moving into the second 5-year segment. Manama, whichever.
The Pearls.
The Pearls. I like that. Is like the world's greatest logo.
I love it.
I would almost want to go and become the Manama, whatever. I would love to become the Pearls GM just so that I could have that logo.
Oh, every time I look at it, it takes me back to playing high school where we'd have, a bucket of balls. And of course, game time, we're like, find the Pearls, get the good ones.
There you go. The Pearls have been in the postseason 5 of the 5 current seasons. One championship, that was the shortened first season. Been in the Burt division for that entire time period, which admittedly has not been the strongest division until this year, but that seems to have turned around. Talk to me a little bit about what you see in the UMEBA coming along this year, and for us casual viewers, what does it feel like to be a general manager in the UMEBA?
So the UMEBA, especially the Burt, like you said, we've been a little on the low side, especially in 2041 last year. But Istanbul did come out on top, but they were by far and away the best team in the Burt division. But this year with the 2 expansion teams, it really feels like they've re-energized the Burt. If you look at the standings right now, it's actually incredible that we have 4 teams already at 22 wins. Now, you can obviously say we've been beating up on Kuwait City, who's one of those expansion teams, but we really have come on strong even in interleague play. So the Burt is strong this year. I know we're only, 37, 38 games in, but it really feels that way. But the one thing I did want to bring up, especially looking at the historical aspect, like you said, we're on our 6th season, is that pitching has never been the UMEBA's strong suit. If you look at kind of the history, the league ERA has only gone up. In that shortened season, obviously that was the lowest 3.8 league ERA, but it's gone up 4.1, 4.5, 4.6, 4.7. Then even this year it's 4.9. So it's tough. Pitching is one of those things you have to watch out for. I think once we start to get, and we are already starting to get those better players, we've started to be more reputable as a league and pulling those bigger and better players. And once we start developing and getting bigger and better pitchers, I think it's going to be a little bit more competitive across the board, because right now it's kind of a hoard all the good hitters. And so you just have to look at the teams that have top to bottom good hitting, and those are usually the ones that are going to go far, because pitching is just so rare and so hard in this league.
Yeah, I was actually interested. There's 2 different things going on in the UMEBA this year. that have kind of counterbalancing, the arrows point in different directions. I mean, first off, you've already mentioned that the league has been successful enough to expand by 2 teams, and so by some natural evolutionary mindset, you would expect that the talent pool would drain a little bit. But on the other hand, you've also had a budget increase from the year prior. So I'd be interested in hearing your feeling about the assessment of those 2 things. Do they kind of cancel each other out, or are you finding it more difficult or more easy to find impact players, be they mostly hitters or pitchers for that matter?
It's funny. It feels like almost the merging of all these different great things that are happening all at once. Like if we had the same budget and the same league reputation, and then we added these 2 teams, we would have seen that talent drain. We would have seen those 2 teams come in and really struggle more than they already are. Granted, one of them is doing rather well. But the thing is, with the combination of the budgets going up, the reputation going up, the free agents are actually listening to us a little bit more, because I started in 2040 and it was slim pickings, going every sim, going through and just having every free agent say not interested in playing, not interested. And then all of a sudden they're starting to talk to us. We have the money, we have the reputation, and we have 2 new teams. So it's almost a cosmic boom of just, this is the first year we're really seeing this league step forward into kind of being a league that you might see people stick around a little bit longer because it's a good league rather than a stepping stone. And I think that's really interesting. And I think it's a perfect time to have the expansion because of the raised budget and the raised reputation. And we're getting not only new teams and these new players, but we're getting better players across the board. And it's exciting.
Yeah, it's actually, just to kind of go back, when you say getting people to stick around, you're talking about actual general managers, right? People who want to view the UMEBA as a destination rather than as a stepping stone. Is that
100%.
how you meant that? That's how I
honestly,
heard it anyway.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm speaking as a personal general manager for the Pearls. I mean, for 2 years, the goal is when you get to, the UMEBA, you're like, okay, I'm going to do well. I'm going to work on putting together this resume that makes the BBA want me, because obviously it's the bigs. You want to go to the bigs, but I'm growing, not only attached to my players, but I'm having fun here, and it's competitive, and we're getting good players. I from a personal perspective, if the BBA asked me, I would actually think about staying, and that's exciting. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's actually interesting because in talking with Vic, the deposed Chicago general manager, who's now assistant to California or whatever the hell he is, that's one of the things he was saying. I think he was he was in Mumbai. And when he was approached for the Chicago job, he was actually a little bit hesitant because he had grown those attachments, which is exactly, the kind of mindset that we were looking for and hoping to be able to grow when we kicked off the UMEBA. So,
I 100% get that sentiment. I feel that sentiment, especially when it's competitive and you have GMs that care. And the UMEBA has these 2 expansion GMs and all the GMs now. It really feels good. It's very, very. It's a good group of guys so far.
Yeah, and that's good to hear. And actually, I've been having a great time taking my evenings and perusing all of the team newses that are starting to come in through the UMEBA. It's interesting to see the rivalries being kicked around and the different storylines rolling through. You talked about the Pearls being a perennial postseason team, and then you get the little Kuwaiti Kuwaiti team throwing trash at you in their team news. I kind of like that. That's fun.
They came in off the top rope and they are just slamming me. I'm over here like I have a. The Pearls have a 5-year playoff run. We have a championship. We have pitchers of the year. We have MVPs, and I'm getting called lowly. The Pearls are just It's insane. Now,
Not
I
o-
understand I'm busy and I can't write as much as these guys, but woo, woo, getting me heated.
There you go. I like that. I like that. Yeah, I think actually one of the things that I find is the teams who get active writing newsletters, there's this ebb and flow, right? I mean, people are really. I am unusual because I'm a writer um profession these days. So, I'm used to sitting down and pounding out several thousand words in a day, and that's not a problem. But I look at other people, and it's like they'll go really hot and heavy for about a month, and then they'll kind of slow down a little bit, and then they'll come back 3 months later, and they'll hit a bunch of things, or they'll get excited about some player or
Yeah.
whatever. And so I'm enjoying watching the UMEBA do that. For you, where are you at with your, I'll call it immersion into the pearls? Who are your favorite players? Who are you watching? What do you get excited about when you take a look at a sim?
So, funny story. When I started 2 seasons ago, we had these two players that I just fell in love with, not only because of their success, but because they were single-handedly carrying the team. We made the playoffs behind, an MVP performance from Jose Roman, who's our third baseman, who actually, little sneak peek to this coming sim, is getting sat, which is a very, very sad thing for me because, again, my first favorite player for the Pearls 2 years ago who won MVP. And then we had Ruben Nunez, who was our starting pitcher who won Pitcher of the Year. I immediately traded him because he was a clubhouse cancer, if you will. I guess the carrying and winning Pitcher of the Year got to his head a little bit, and we had to let him go. Jose Ramon has fallen off hard. He's batting 207 this year after coming off of a 300 season 2 seasons ago with a 5 WAR. Now he's in the negatives. So it's sad to see. So I'm a little sad by that, but right now we're really excited because we picked up some great free agents. Veenman, our new catcher, is just reinvigorated the excitement. Oh my God. But I don't know, our team is full of young guys, and that's both a good thing and a bad thing because we're just looking always towards the future. But as for players, I would say Veenman right now, and Coca, who finally got up to the bigs that I've been watching since Double A ball. Well, Single A, because we recently added the Double A, and he spent most of his time there once we added it.
Yeah, I think actually the flow of good players and Veenman. I also noticed on your team you've got one of my old relief pitchers, Momcilo Juredic, is a guy who is just super near and dear to my heart. And so I one of the things that I love about the UMEBA, and it's very similar to the EBA when it was here, but we used that for different purposes. I absolutely love seeing guys who Juredic got hurt and couldn't quite hang in there, and then I was forced to from a roster perspective, I couldn't keep him around anymore. I love the fact that players like that have a place to go and potentially become valuable and play out the rest of their career. And I know Juredic had a really nice year for you before I guess he got hurt again, which is a shame.
Yep.
But
out for 7 weeks now.
It says something about the nerdiness of people who it bummed me out to see that he was hurt again. I literally had a little dark cloud running around my head when I saw that Momcilo Juredic, for crying out loud, this little computer guy on the Pearls was hurt again. So my heart went out to you.
It's hard to not think that way. It's really exciting to think that way, but yeah, it's sad to watch this guy who, is at the top of his career, had a place in the BBA, gets hurt but gets a second chance, maybe a rebound situation, maybe he has one last shot at the BBA with a couple good showings here, but gets hurt again. It's just you could see that as a story. That's a movie.
Oh yeah, definitely, without a doubt. And I think one of the things that I look forward to with the UMEBA profile growing, and I love what Matt is doing with growing the profile of the UMEBA, starting it off from this kind of wild barnstorming rickety league in the middle of the Middle East, East, and growing it into a more full blown baseball professional organization, and who knows how strong it will grow.
It feels like back in the late 1800s when professional baseball players in real life would just stop playing and go fishing. Because I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's a game,
Right.
and then it blossoms into what it is today. And you could parallel it to NASCAR and how it started out of bootlegging.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
then it blossoms into this. So it's really cool. It has a history. And to see it this year with 2 new teams and the reputation growing, you're actually seeing it evolve, and it's exciting.
Yeah. Well, what do you hope for the UMEBA in the future? What would you like to see over the next couple of years and out into the next BBA decade?
It's selfish of me to say that I would like to see players have to choose between the BBA and the UMEBA, but I think the BBA and its reputation, it will always be the better league. So I think the UMEBA would be, I would like to see it akin almost to the Japanese leagues that we see nowadays in real life, where they're good and great players could kind of swing either way in the Japanese leagues or the MLB. So I think the UMEBA with a couple more teams, maybe blossom into 2 divisions in each conference. I think that would be the bigger, better. I don't know. I just think we're on the right path. Just keep doing this. Stay like this for another 5-6 seasons. Maybe think about 2 more teams once we get GMs that are here to stay, which it looks like from right now. That's my one wish, is that the UMEBA GMs are proud of where we are, and we're not waiting for the call to the BBA. We're kind of saying, if the BBA calls, we'll listen.
Yeah, and I think that that was definitely the vision that Brett had. Brett, as the original Jerusalem general manager, I don't think his intention was to never leave the UMEBA. And in fact, I'm 99. Brett can speak for himself, and I think I've said this before, but Brett can speak for himself. I don't think that he would have actually left the UMEBA for any team other than the Las Vegas Hustlers that Matt dangled in front of him, because I think Matt wanted to move out of the Las Vegas chair after 70 years of being, after 70 seasons of being the Las Vegas, nearly 70 seasons of being the Las Vegas general manager. I think he wanted to move on to a different challenge. So that was the only reason.
That sentence alone is so cool, though. Being a manager for so long and being kind of synonymous with the name, it's like that's the goal for any out of the park baseball GM.
There you go. Yeah, it would not surprise me to see the UMEBA grow by another 2 teams in a few years. Matt is fantastic at putting his fingers on the pulse of the league and knowing having a feel for when it is a good idea to expand. But I would guess that he would like. I'm speaking for Matt. I'm just speaking for everyone today. It's a very dangerous thing. I would guess that he wouldn't mind seeing it at 12 teams, because that would be a good balanced thing. But it is all about GMs. I think you've got it exactly right. It's all about GMs, and as long as the GMs are having fun and sticking, we always know there's going to be turnover, right? There's always turnover in the BBA. There's going to be turnover in the UMEBA, because we're human beings and we don't do this for a living.
Right.
So having a little turnover is always going to happen, but you want to have a good solid core so that the leagues are enjoyable and valuable and carrying the fictional aspect of what we're doing in the universe. So it wouldn't surprise me to see that happen relatively soon, and gosh only knows how big it will get. As soon as Matt becomes financially independent and is running this 24 hours a day, I mean, then we're ready to go. Maybe we could all just chip in,
Yeah. If there's anything I've learned from the expansion, is that having an expansion during a budget boom, during a reputation boom, is a recipe for success. I think that's something to take into consideration next time it's even on the table to expand. Is the money going to expand with it? Are we handicapping a team too much just to bring in 2 new people? I don't know. I think that the economics of it inside of the UMEBA play a huge part into not only bringing in new GMs, but adding teams.
Well, I think that's fantastic, and we'll call this one. We'll be out on that. I think that's a great way to end the UMEBA edition, the UMEBA Friday of the BBA Today. Thank you for your time here, Dillon. I certainly appreciate it.
Of course, thanks for having me.
You've been listening to the BBA Today, a podcast that covers the Brewster Baseball Association every day. Music is Bold Statement, available at BesleyandStudios.com and use low attribution. Be safe and well, and we will hear you again tomorrow.